Hello, I'm Dustin Abbott, and I'm here today to do a review of the new Sigma 150 to 600 millimeter. This is the sport lens, and it has both Sigma's HSM silent focusing motor along with its OS, or its optical stabilizer system. It is really kind of the king of the hill lens in this focal length now, and there are a couple of options from Sigma along with one from Tamron, and all of them bring their own virtues. The Sigma is the one that has the professional grade build quality of the three lenses. As we move beyond the build quality to the actual use in the field, I've been pleased with using this lens and the images that it has produced. I found that I've had good consistency in terms of my focus accuracy. That's been an issue at times for Sigma, but I'm happy to report that I have no complaints with this lens, but my focus accuracy has been consistent in all kinds of lighting conditions. And I've used it, of course, outdoors, where it's going to be used the majority of the time in reasonable light. But I also did a bit of event shooting inside a school gymnasium that's had only kind of mediocre lighting, and I still had accurate results there and not a lot of hunting. In fact, the only time that I've really had hunting is I threw on, just for the fun of it, a Kenko 1.4 times extender onto it, and while the image quality remained good, but with this particular body, which is a Canon 6D, I found that it hunted a lot, and it was kind of an exercise in frustration. But in the bare lens itself, I've had good focus accuracy and good consistent results. I've noted that one of the great challenges with this particular lens and using it in the field is the fact that due to a metal barrel and a metal lens hood, along with a very heavy front element, that it's a lot of weight to support away from your body, and you really have to use some good effective technique if you're going to handhold this. But unless you're in really probably exceptional shape, you're probably going to find that this is a lens that is easier to use off of either a monopod or a tripod. And using it for an extended period handheld is, well, let's just say it's a recipe for either some shaky shots or some sore muscles, because it's a lot of weight to support and use consistently. Also, the tripod collar, which is very nice. It's got 3 different positions, and so it's great for tripod use, but it is not removable, and for that matter, it's not even reversible. And so while you can use the tension knob and you can move it into various conditions, and one nice thing is it does have a little detent at every 90-degree position, so that's nice. It's a nicely designed tripod collar in that sense, but it is not removable, and so you're going to have to just get accustomed to using it. As I said, this has an HSM focus motor, and I've already noted the focus accuracy. I'm also happy to report that this is an incredibly quietly focusing lens, and I am not really able to pick up on any kind of focus sounds upon use, and it just focuses quietly and smoothly, and it's fairly quick. It's not as quick as the Canon Super Telephotos, and I would say that the actual focus speed is probably roughly similar to that of the Tamron 150 to 600 millimeter. But the difference being is just kind of the manner it goes about. The Sigma is a bit quieter and smoother in that operation. The other thing about that is that if you're wanting to shoot video, it's certainly a great option for that, in that the focus actual sound is almost non-existent. And so it focuses nicely. The optical stabilizer seems to do an effective job. Of course, with a lens like this, it's rare that you're really shooting at exceptionally low shutter speeds, simply because of the fact that if there's any kind of movement in your subject at all, you're going to find that there is going to be some motion blur that comes as a part of that. And so I tend to shoot this at higher shutter speeds, and I learned that lesson with the Tamron, that you need to keep that shutter speed up to reduce any kind of movement in your subject. And longer focal lengths like this really tend to exaggerate motion blur, and so it's certainly something that you need to watch out for. But I was able to shoot very low handheld shutter speed, just like of a calendar. It's just not all that practical for field use. But the image stabilizer is effective. I don't like it as well, the way that it actually is executed, as well as, say, in the new Canon 100 to 400 millimeter lens, and that I find that lens and that stabilizer does a better job of stabilizing the actual view in the viewfinder. I don't find that the stabilizer here from Sigma does a whole lot of actual stabilizing of the viewfinder, and so that combined with the heavier weight of that front element means that I find that sometimes I have a hard time keeping my subject still in the viewfinder. But in terms of the actual acquisition, it does a great job of stabilizing the image and minimizing camera shake. And so it's doing its job. I just don't like the way that it goes about doing it as well as what I do some other systems. I should also note that this does have multiple modes for the stabilizer, including a mode 2 that is more for if you're wanting to use for actual panning, and so it stabilizes along one axis to help you to with your panning shots. Other thing is it's probably wise to, with a lens like this, to learn to use. It has a couple of different positions for limiting the focal length or the focal distance. So for example, where you're not going to be right on top of your subject, you can set it in a position where it won't try to focus anywhere closer than 10 meters. So just from 10 meters out to infinity. And then of course, if you're shooting within a smaller zone, you can also set it to shoot just between 2.6 meters and 10 meters. And so using those in the appropriate situations will help you to get faster AF results with that. I've been really pleased with the results that I've gotten out of the lens. I find that the colors look great, the sharpness is good. I find nothing to complain about. At any focal length, I find the results look good. Is it blowing away the Tamron? It doesn't seem to head to head. The Tamron, really, it produces pretty decent results for its price point, and even with the new Canon 100 to 400 millimeter, I didn't find that, although that is an extremely sharp lens, it wasn't that it was blowing away the Tamron in terms of the image quality. Where you will notice a bit of a difference with the Sigma is particularly at 600 millimeter, between 5 and 600 millimeter, the Sigma is definitely sharper, and not just sharper in the center, but throughout the focal length. It does a better job of being sharper out towards the periphery of the image circle, and so it does a good job with that. One thing that it kind of did surprise me is that I found that despite having a 10 millimeter larger front filter thread or front element, it's 105 millimeters compared to the 95 millimeters at the front of the Tamron, is that the Sigma actually vignettes considerably more than what the Tamron does. And that was a bit of a surprise for me. I would have expected the opposite of that. One thing to note in field use is that this lens does have a zoom lock, which is a wise thing to use because of that heavy front element. It certainly creeps. In fact, as you'll see, it begins to creep immediately. As soon as that element is pointed down, it's almost instantaneous. The nice thing about the lock here on the Sigma is that it can be set at any chosen value, and so you can set it at 300 millimeters, you can set it at 200 millimeters, anywhere along the way you can actually set that, and that can help you to prevent that actual zoom creep from taking place. And so if you're shooting at a certain focal length, let's say in this case 400 millimeters, I can set that lock there, and that way I can hold that position if I have it in a harness, and it's ready to shoot as soon as I'm ready to go. And so that's a plus for that. This is a very heavy lens. In fact, it is a full third heavier than what the actual Tamron is. The Tamron is a much easier lens to hand hold by comparison, and the Sigma definitely adds a lot of extra weight, and so that's something to consider. But the trade-off is it has a very robust professional grade build quality. It has coatings on both the front and the back element to resist water or oil, and it has a dust resistant, moisture resistant body. It brings really a professional grade build to it, and so For its price point, it comes in at $2,000. It really is a lot of lens for the money. I don't think that it's inappropriately priced. The challenge, of course, is that you can have the exact same focal length and fairly close image quality from the Tamron at almost half the price. And that is the challenge for all of the manufacturers now, is that Tamron has brought in such a great price point. And so Sigma has a second lens to compete with the Tamron, the contemporary version, but that is a different matter when it comes to the build quality, and the actual overall optical even formula of that lens is different than this lens. And so I've enjoyed using the Sigma 150 to 600 millimeter sport lens. I think it's a beautifully built lens, and if you're looking for a more robust lens than what the Tamron can offer, and either you shoot off of a monopod or a tripod, or you're really strong, this could be the lens for you. It provides great image quality that is really going to put it in competition with not quite to the level of the super telephotos from Canon, but it puts you close to those that kind of optical performance in a great focal range, 150 to 600 millimeters. In conclusion, I would say that for someone who is looking for a professional grade lens and this amazing focal length, and you're either very strong or you tend to shoot off of a tripod or a monopod, this could be a lens for you. It's got amazing optics, it's got an amazing build quality. It also has a very quiet and a reasonably fast focusing autofocus motor that's very quiet and very smooth in operation. It brings a lot to the table in more ways than one. It's also a lot to carry at the table, but if you don't mind that, then this just may be the lens for you. I'm Dustin Abbott. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.